From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, I'm Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Wednesday, September 20th. We are going to see a beautiful day, more like summer feel out there, back into the 80s. Light winds out of the south are going to have mostly sunny skies with the warmer air. Humidity levels are going to stay well below the uncomfortable line. So a great day out there as we're hanging on to those last summer days. An overnight stabbing leaves a baby girl critically wounded. It happened at the Days Inn near 82nd and I-69. Police do not have anyone in custody, but they do have a suspect who they are still searching for. Officers have been interviewing family members and witnesses to try to find that person. They've not released the name of the suspect. The call came in just before 11 last night to the Days Inn on Craig Street. That's where officers found the girl stabbed in one of the rooms. Medics took her to the hospital in critical condition. According to police, she is now in serious condition, but stable. IMPD spoke about how cases like this impact first responders.
For all of our officers, you hear that come across the radio, your heart drops. You want to get here as soon as you can. A lot of our officers, paramedics, fire, they have children that are infants, and so you can imagine when they arrive, what our officers go through, paramedics, fire, what they go through on a day in and day out basis. I can't speak of the work that these officers and firemen do every single day.
Anyone with any information is asked to call IMPD's Child Abuse Division at 317-327-3330 or the department's anonymous tip line at 317-262-TIPS. Police do believe this is an isolated incident. An Indianapolis man is now charged with the death of a 4-year-old girl shot by her 6-year-old brother. Cumberland police announced yesterday the gun belonged to Terrell Jackson. The shooting happened in early July in an apartment on Woodlark Drive. Police say 4 young children knew the gun was in a bedroom and played with it before the shooting. Prosecutors say Jackson was staying at the home and shared a child with the mother of the victim. They say Jackson was not supposed to have a gun at the time of the shooting. He now faces charges for neglect of a dependent causing death. Marian County sheriffs say that the mistakes by clerks led to the accidental release of a murder suspect. Police are now working around the clock to find Kevin Mason. He's 5'9", 205 pounds, and has tattoos on his neck and a small cross under his right eye. He was wanted on a murder charge in Minnesota, and police here arrested him last week. The Marian County Sheriff's Office says one of its clerks thought she was correcting duplicate bookings for Mason when she removed 2 holds on him last week. The next day, a clerk in Minnesota removed the 3rd and final hold, and no one caught the mistake. Investigators say Mason came to Indianapolis shortly after he killed someone in Minneapolis in 2021.
We don't have any current charges on him as of right now. We don't know of any crimes that he's committed here in Indianapolis.
The sheriff's office says 2 clerks involved in the mistake are no longer employed. Authorities say if you see Mason, don't approach him and instead call 911. Witnesses are describing the moments before an IMPD officer shot and killed a suspect on the south side. We followed the police shooting as breaking news for most of daybreak yesterday. Investigators say a woman reported her ex-boyfriend, Eric Taylor, threatened to kill her. Officers found Taylor's vehicle, chased him to the Bradford Lake Apartments in South Perry, then shot him when he showed a gun and ignored commands to drop it. Vanessa Burton and Nakia Chapman say they watched the standoff from their windows.
What was going through my mind was why they wasn't talking to him. Why they didn't say nothing to him.
Yeah.
They didn't say a word. It was quiet.
Yeah.
He was the only one talking.
Went about it a different way instead of losing his life.
The officer who shot Taylor is on paid leave while IMPD investigates what happened. A professor in Kentucky is giving IT-Mate insight into Odinism and its possible connection to the Delphi murders. Attorneys for Richard Allen claim men connected to it are the real killers. IT-Mate's Cody Fisher explains what Odinism is and how it's now part of the Delphi case.
The professor I spoke with tells me that Odinism is a pagan-based religion where the followers worship many gods.
For Odinists, this is sort of the religion of their blood.
Dr. Jefferson Calico teaches at University of the Cumberlands in Kentucky. He tells me Odinism is a
racially based form of heathenry or Germanic paganism. These are people who see it as like a white man's religion, you know? a racist form of religion.
It's followers of that religion that Richard Allen's attorneys say killed Abby Williams and Libby German in the woods in Delphi, ritualistically sacrificing them, moving and positioning their bodies, and placing sticks on them in the form of pagan symbols.
Ancient Norse religion, there have been, some of the ancient sources mention human sacrifice.
Dr. Calico says modern-day people wanting to bring back that old way of doing things would be called Reconstructionists.
Every Reconstructionist I've talked to has been pretty explicit in rejecting human sacrifice as something just not appropriate for contemporary people.
He did not completely rule out the possibility of Odinists partaking in ritual human sacrifice because, as he put it,
there are crazy people everywhere.
Richard Allen's defense team is pointing their fingers at several people they claim are Odinists who may have actually killed Abby and Libby. We're not naming them because none have been charged with the crime. We reached out to one on Facebook who told us, "The only statement I wish to make is to ask for help from a pro bono lawyer who would help me go after the defense for slandering my name and my child's." Dr. Jefferson Calico tells me that modern-day Odinists have been linked to violence, mainly in prisons and against minority groups or people who practice other religions. In Indianapolis, Cody Fisher, Wish TV, ITMA.
IU Health is praising the work of 4 surgeons who helped save a girl's life at Riley Hospital for Children. 7-year-old Olivia is now back with her gymnastics team just a month and a half after being shot through the nose with a blow dart. The surgeons say the blow dart missed her vertebral artery and nerves by less than a millimeter. They say they had about 2 centimeters in the back of Olivia's head to work with to get the dart out.
I mean, when you want statistics, they should buy about 10 lottery tickets, because I'm telling you, that was very fortunate where that ended up and where it stopped.
Surgeons say Olivia will not have any lasting damage to her nose as she continues to grow. Lilly says it's trying to prevent some businesses from marketing and selling knockoff versions of its diabetes drug, Mounjaro. The company filed several lawsuits yesterday against medical spas, wellness centers, and compounding pharmacies. It claims companies are illegally selling an imitation of Mounjaro without the active ingredient. Lilly says it cannot validate the safety or effectiveness of those products. The FDA warned earlier this year of compounded versions of a similar type 2 diabetes drug sold as Ozempic and Rybelsus. The agency said patients should not use compounded drugs if an approved drug is available. A former congressman from Indiana is now sentenced to 22 months in prison. A judge in New York handed down Steve Byers' punishment yesterday. He was convicted in March of making illegal stock trades based on inside information while he worked as a consultant after leaving office. Byers scheduled to report to prison November 28th. Congress has just 10 days to pass a bill to fund the government and avoid a shutdown. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is working to convince his Republican colleagues to come together to pass the legislation. A House procedural vote on the spending legislation was scrapped yesterday, so negotiations could resume. A spending package would also need to pass the Democrat-controlled Senate before heading to the president's desk. House Republicans plan to hold their first hearing next week in their impeachment inquiry into the president. The House Oversight Committee is leading next Thursday's hearing. According to a spokesperson for the committee, the hearing is slated to focus on constitutional and legal questions surrounding allegations of Joe Biden's involvement in his son Hunter's business. The spokesperson says the committee also plans to subpoena the personal and business bank records of Hunter Biden. And a new court filing from Hunter Biden's attorneys says that he'll plead not guilty to the federal firearms charges against him. He's accused of lying about his drug use when he bought a firearm in 2018. The 3-count indictment came weeks after a proposed plea deal collapsed. The United Auto Workers Union is threatening to expand its targeted strike by the end of the week. UAW President Shawn Fain says workers at more factories will walk off the job Friday at noon unless there is serious progress toward agreements with the automakers. The strike is currently limited to 3 plants in Michigan, Missouri, and Ohio. Today marks the 6th day. The White House says it no longer plans to send administration officials to Michigan and will instead keep working in Washington to allow talks in Detroit to move forward. The Census Bureau may start asking questions about sexual orientation and gender identity. The agency asked the Biden administration yesterday for permission to start a test run. The Bureau wants to test the wording, response categories, and placement of gender identity and sexual orientation questions on the American Community Survey. The annual questionnaire collects data from 3.5 million households each year, covering a wide range of topics, including family life, income, internet access, commuting times, military service, and more. The test questions about sexual orientation and gender would be for people 15 and older. Officials say federal agencies want the data for civil rights and equal employment enforcement. In your multicultural spotlight, a Fort Wayne organization is trying to improve equity at the polls. Count Us In says it has registered more than 750 voters who are disabled or historically disenfranchised in just a few years. Representatives say Indiana has recently ranked in the bottom 5 states for civic literacy and voter turnout. So the organization created the Racial Justice Accessibility Fellowship. Applicants went through a rigorous panel interview to join. Count Us In says the fellows will be better able to advocate for accessible voting by knowing their rights. October 10th is the last day to register to vote. You're urged to double-check your voter registration to make sure it is still active. The superintendent of IPS is set to deliver her annual State of the District speech tonight. This year's theme is an invitation, choose your IPS. School leaders say Dr. Alicia Johnson will celebrate the strength of the district and discuss the school's Rebuilding Stronger plan. The address will stream live in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. It starts at 7. Indiana Golf is opening a new $6.5 million headquarters on the east side. The new campus will house 5 different golf organizations in the Fort Golf Resort. It's at Fort Harrison State Park. The group's been operating out of a temporary location near 96th and Hague. Sports Director Anthony Calhoun joined the group to host the big reveal yesterday. Crews are set now to break ground next spring ahead of a grand opening of spring of 2025. A new span across Fall Creek is open, connecting the west and east sides of the city for walking, running, and biking in Indianapolis. City leaders cut the ribbon yesterday on the pedestrian bridge near 17th and Milburn Street. The expansion is a pivotal part of the area's growing network of trails and paths, linking the west side of downtown all the way to Fort Harrison State Park in Lawrence. Leaders say this phase will allow people to enjoy more than 50 miles of trail. And happening today, the next chance to win a big Powerball jackpot. The jackpot sits at an estimated $672 million, the 10th largest ever for the game. Whoever matches all the numbers can get the full amount over several years or a lump sum of about $320.5 million. Kraft Heinz is recalling thousands of packages of American cheese slices. The company says a machine that applies the wrappers malfunctioned, making it possible that a thin strip of film stays on the slice after you take off the wrapper. Kraft warns it could be a potential choking hazard. The slices in question have best used by dates of January 9th through January 27th of 2024. You can call 1-800-280-8252 to see if your product is part of the recall. Happening right now, volunteers are helping fit 1,000 people in Indianapolis with a new pair of shoes. The organization Samaritan's Feet is hosting today's One City Indianapolis event. Attendees will also receive a Hope Tote bag with a special message from the organization's supporters. The event runs until 7 tonight at Matchbook Learning School 63 on North Belmont Avenue. Also today, city leaders are set to unveil the makeover of an Indianapolis park. The plan to renovate Reverend Charles R. Williams Park started last year. The park now includes a playground, horseshoe courts, a performance area, and a trail connecting the park to the Monon Trail. Ribbon cutting is today, featuring several local and state dignitaries. It's at the park on Sutherland Avenue, 10 this morning. The Circle City Classic kicks off tonight with the Praise and Worship event. Organizers say Pastor Charles Goodman will lead the event. It's at New Beginnings Fellowship Church on German Church Road. It runs from 7 to 10. And business headlines. Auto part makers that supply all 3 of the big Detroit car makers have more than $38 billion of revenue at risk if strikes by the United Auto Workers expand. At least 76 companies supply the big 3 with everything from steering systems to axles to electronics. According to an exclusive report from The Street, a pilot strike at Southwest is looming. Southwest has been negotiating with its pilot union, the Southwest Airlines Pilot Association, for nearly 4 years. Southwest is the last major airline not to come to an agreement with its pilots. Disney plans to spend about $60 billion to expand its theme parks, cruise lines, and resorts over the next decade. Disney said it would give priority to spending on projects that could generate strong returns, including its U.S. and international parks and cruises. Among the possibilities, Frozen could have a presence at Disneyland Resort, while Wakanda from the Black Panther franchise could be brought to life. DoorDash has expanded its alcohol delivery partnership with Aldi to 1,200 stores in 21 states. DoorDash and Aldi have worked together since earlier this year and said in the release their latest effort will offer safe, age-verified alcohol delivery to 80% of DoorDash customers. America's retailers are expected to add just 410,000 seasonal positions for this year's holiday shopping season. It's according to an estimate from outplacement services firm Challenger. Gray and Christmas. That would mark the industry's lowest seasonal hiring total since 2008. Amazon intends to recruit an extra 250,000 employees for the upcoming holiday season, marking a significant 67% increase compared to previous years. Target said Tuesday that it plans to hire 100,000 seasonal workers and implement discounts as early as October. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and like us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.